2/3 of Iowans believe that Joe Biden did not win the election. That's pretty freaking scary.
Oh, my God.
Do you know what Iowa stands for?
What?
Idiots out walking around.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
Welcome back to the Unrestricted, folks.
Hi.
I'm Vex. That's Wally. That's
Hi.
Bob.
Hi.
How you guys doing this week?
Oh, fine.
Yeah, well, your team didn't get their ass kicked by God knows how many points. The score of that Dallas Cowboys game did not indicate what a blowout it was.
No, and neither did Dak Prescott's stat line.
Right.
400 yards.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that.
All in garbage time. I was telling a friend of mine, after that game, I can't even take pleasure anymore with my Cowboys fans and kind of make fun of them and rid them. I just feel bad. That was so embarrassing. I can't take any enjoyment out of it.
And to boot, now we get news out of Dallas this morning that Jerry Jones is saying McCarthy's coming back.
Yep.
I'm blown away. How shocked are you guys by that?
Initially, well, go ahead, Bob. What are your thoughts? And then I'll give you mine.
I'm not surprised because of who Jerry Jones is. I mean, Jerry Jones keeps coaches around for a long time, the ones that he likes,
Yeah.
that he can deal with. And apparently he can deal with Mike McCarthy.
The bootlickers.
But
Yeah.
but I will say this, and I'm going to basically parrot Dan Orlovsky from ESPN. Well, Jones and the rest of you Cowboys fans, you need to shut up about winning Super Bowls. Fine. If you're going to tout the fact that McCarthy has won you 12 games every season for the last 3 seasons, great. That's what's important to you. Apparently, Super Bowls are not. So stop talking to me about wanting to win Super Bowls because you do not want to win Super Bowls.
Well, if the owner doesn't, I guess the fans shouldn't expect it.
Well, and Jerry and obviously came out with the statement yesterday. The Cowboys, they believe that they are close. Listen, I know as a 49er fan, you can laugh at that, but I agree with that statement. I think they are close. They have the talent on the field, and the one thing I do hate when the Cowboys lose is that everybody piles onto they're never going to win when Jerry Jones is the owner. Why? Did Jerry Jones put the talent on the field? There's enough talent on that field. Did Jerry Jones give you the coach you wanted? Absolutely he did. Nobody had any problem with them hiring Mike McCarthy, and we all celebrated. We thought it was a great move. We didn't realize Mike McCarthy was terrible at clock management. But this I didn't think the McCarthy coaching was the problem. This was a Dan Quinn issue. This defense was freaking awful. And you look at it now, and what option did the Cowboys have? And listen, I thought for sure they were going to get rid of McCarthy. They should get rid of McCarthy. But then you ask the question, well, who's up next then? You could certainly make the case that Bill Belichick would have no interest in going to Dallas.
I think so.
You're not going to get Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh's either going to go to San Diego or not.
What about Vrabel? That's the guy. I mean,
I can see that one.
Yeah, that's the guy you would want.
Because here's the thing about the Cowboys. I don't think it's a coaching problem. I really, really don't, even though I don't like McCarthy as a coach. Bad clock management, can't call a play in the red zone to save his life.
Yeah.
And that was the whole narrative the whole entire season. Yep, they put up great stats. They put up a great win record. But if you dive down into what those wins were, there were still problems. The problem is culture.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The problem is culture, and the only way you solve culture is you wipe the entire slate clean and you build it back up.
Yeah, but I think the culture starts at the top. And to those Cowboys fans who say we're not going to win until Jerry Jones is gone, I think there's a lot of validity there.
Well, all right. So what is, if you're going to fix the Cowboys, what would you? All right, I can see putting Vrabel in there, and I think that solves one of the major issues on this team, in this franchise, is that they're soft. This team is not tough. They're not. They're just not. Listen. Think about the last 3 losses in the final game of the season. These last 3 seasons, 143 yards on the ground on this past weekend, 3 touchdowns, 113 yards on the ground and a touchdown in the loss to the Niners the year before that, and 2 years ago, 169 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns in a the first loss to San Francisco. This team is soft. They can't stop the run, and that's been a problem. And that's why you probably should have went and fired McCarthy, because you continue to lose the same way.
Yeah, and there was an embarrassment factor to losing at home.
Absolutely.
I mean, when we have hyped it up all year long that they got to be at home, they got to be at home. They were undefeated at home during the regular season, and they get the home playoff game, and they absolutely lay a turd.
Where was Michael Parsons?
Well,
did he play?
I mean, where was that entire defense?
Oh, it's awful.
Those receivers were so open. All three of us could have caught those balls and run those.
It was
in.
a nasty
Absolutely.
little secret all year that the Dallas Cowboys had a hard time stopping the run. That was a nasty, well-kept secret. And it came out to bear in that game. And then, to boot, you have Dak Prescott having an off game. Really for the first time in weeks.
And what happened with him and CeeDee Lamb in the first half?
Nobody seems to know. And it was really bad to watch those.
I don't know.
It was really bad to watch those two guys, kind of verbally hashing it out in the huddle. And then they go right to the snap. And I'm like, oh, well, he's going to go to Lamb right here. Like, of course he is, because they've just had a disagreement. He's going to make sure he feeds him the ball. Well, you know who else thought that? The fucking defense. The fucking defense knew it was going to CeeDee Lamb in the slot, and they step in the lane, and
they were ready for it.
Yeah, Dak can't throw that ball. You just can't. That's a meatball.
That's what he does. He tries to force it into CD because that's who the guy he's most comfortable with. But you look at Dak and again, you want to fire McCarthy, okay? But what do you do? What exactly are you going to do with Dak? Everybody wants to get rid of him. You can't get rid of him if you cut. He's got so much cap space. Yep. It's unbelievable. I mean, if you cut him, it's going to give you $60 million of dead money on the cap, and nobody is going to trade him. So guess what? They're going to have to run it back again next season. You got no choice.
I know. I just wish there was a new guy at the helm. And to make this announcement, for Jerry Jones to make this announcement, before he really knows the intent of Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, to me, that seems just a little bit irresponsible. Because if in fact the Steelers and Tomlin are on separate pages and they go separate ways, that guy goes to the top of the list. He's the best coach in football. Has been for a while, at least in my opinion.
But he's not leaving. He's not leaving Pittsburgh.
Well, I don't think so, but I would want to know that for sure. I would want to know that for sure before I said, no, we're happy with Mike McCarthy. And I would certainly want to interview Bill Belichick, and I would certainly want Mike Vrabel to come to my facility before I make that decision. To do it so quickly doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that seems like just typical Jerry Jones shit.
Yep. So if you're a Cowboys fan, I don't want to hear from you until the first week of the playoffs next year.
That's a long time, man.
Just shut up. Shut up.
That's what this team is about, though. We said it throughout this whole season that the Cowboys, you would evaluate them based on what they do in the playoffs, and we evaluate them. They were crappy.
It was worse than crappy. I mean, honestly, because if they had lost, and I kind of argued with you, look, getting to the playoffs and winning at least one game in the playoffs is a really big deal in the NFL. That's an accomplishment.
Sure.
But to lose it the way they lost it,
they got embarrassed.
They did.
Got embarrassed.
Worst loss, that or what happened to the Eagles?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? And it's really hard. I mean, you're kind of choosing between two turds, to be perfectly honest. and I'd rather not have either. But I don't think Sirianni gets his job back in Philadelphia. And Mike McCarthy, it took 3 days to figure out that he was going to stick around.
First of all, I want Quinn gone with the Cowboys. I want him out of there. And I don't know if they're going to fire him or he's going to take a job. I would, one game doesn't make a career, but I would think Dan Quinn will get a job. If he doesn't get a job this year, I mean, when is he ever going to get a job? I wouldn't hire him, but nevertheless, that's the one. If the Cowboys make that change at the defensive coordinator position, I think I would be happy as a Cowboy fan.
Well, I think it's interesting that you put so much of this on Dan Quinn. And yeah, absolutely, this weekend's game was on Dan Quinn because that defense was not prepared. Terrible scheme. Couldn't stop the run basically all season.
And they can't make any adjustments either.
But for the last couple of years, this has been one of the best ranked defenses in the league. It's really hard to look at Dan Quinn and think of him as an overarching problem in the organization when, I mean, they never used to force turnovers. 3-4 years ago,
that's the defense though, and they didn't force the turnovers this time around. And plus, you're missing Diggs. He's one of your big turnover guys. I get that, but listen, I think they just have a lot of playmakers on defense, and they're going to be good no matter who the defensive coordinator is. And I think Quinn was just exposed this past weekend.
You know, they were not a great defense this year. They were an opportunistic defense, and they were big on turnovers, right? And I just don't know if turnovers are something you can completely rely on in a playoff game against another good team.
You can't, and that's the crazy thing about turnovers. They are fickle. They'll happen, they won't happen.
Yeah.
You need to be opportunistic to take advantage of them, but you can't rely on them.
Right.
I mean, I remember a couple of years ago where the 49ers weren't getting the turnovers. It just wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, their record kind of reflected it a little bit. But their defense overcame it, but they weren't getting them. You can't rely on them.
To your point, the Lions and the Lions-Rams game this weekend was the best game of the weekend, needless to say.
Yes.
How many turnovers in that game? 0 turnovers. That was the best played game of the weekend by both teams, and no
the
turnovers.
least interesting one.
Really? You thought
Really?
so? I thought it was completely interesting. That was a hype crowd. I was into that game, bro.
I watched all of them. I'm with you, but it wasn't, that did nothing for me going into the game. I go, Lions, I didn't have a lot of interest. It was a well-played game. I agree with you. There was much more intrigue to the other games, I thought. But listen, wild card weekend was what it normally is, a blowout.
Yeah.
Yet 5 of the 6 games were blowouts, and that's the way wild card weekend normally is.
Isn't it interesting as we kind of play this forward to this weekend, and you look at the lines on these 4 games this weekend? I mean, Vegas very rarely gets it really wrong. 2 9.5-point spreads, a 6.5-point spread, and a 2.5-point spread. They think there's going to be one close game.
Have those lines stayed there? Because I thought I heard this morning that they were coming down.
I checked this morning.
Yeah, 9.5. Yeah, Baltimore's gone up to 9.5.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything there that just says, wow, that's crazy? No, I expect Baltimore. I would think Baltimore should beat not beat the hell out of Houston, but beat them by 10 points. Okay, I can see that. San Francisco doing the same thing to Green Bay. Yeah, I can see that. Tampa Bay at Detroit. Detroit 6.5-point favorites. All right, you're home. Tampa Bay's not that good. I can see that. And Kansas City at Buffalo. But that's going to be a close game.
Obviously,
you would expect that.
Yeah. I almost wish I didn't have a dog in this hunt because I would like to get behind the Lions story.
Yeah.
I love that team.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to have them be relevant. I mean, it's been forever. It's been my whole lifetime. Literally.
Yeah, you would think if there was, the 2 teams you wanted to advance would have been the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting, though, that the Niners are 9.5-point favorites against Green Bay, and the Cowboys last weekend were only 7-point favorites. I mean, look, I think San Francisco's the better football team between the Cowboys and the Niners. I think that's right. But, Green Bay proved some things against the Cowboys, too. I don't want to just dismiss this like the Cowboys gave the game away. The Packers were really good, and Jordan Love was awesome.
No, they executed a very, very well-planned game plan to start that game. Get on that first drive looked effortless by the Packers.
It did.
And it was like they put points on the board, put the Cowboys on their back feet for some reason. I don't understand why 7 points is putting a team on their back feet. But the Cowboys played like that on their next drive.
Yeah.
And then they scored again, and then it was even worse.
Yeah.
And then it was over.
And then
it was over.
avalanche. Yeah.
And it was over. Now, can the Packers beat the 49ers? Yes, they can. They have a good run offense, but they have to play out their yards.
I mentioned this in last week's podcast. When they got Aaron Jones back, that's been a big deal.
Yep.
All of a sudden, their balance on offense is impressive. And Jordan Love, goodness gracious, I don't know who was better, him or C.J. Stroud last weekend, but they both. So, I went away on really impressed with both of them.
Yeah.
To get it done in your first playoff spot, first playoff start. It's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, for C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, not only a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Right on.
They've done a terrific job. But you think you got C.J. Stroud, young player. You got you got Brock Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant as the quarterback in San Francisco. It's just remarkable. The Philly collapse is fascinating to me. They clearly have issues going on internally there. I don't expect Sirianni to survive. I think they're meeting today, Thursday, so we'll see how that all works out. And just craziness. And the Buffalo, Buffalo looked like they were dead and buried at 6-6, and they certainly were, and then just rose from the ashes. And right now, you would expect Buffalo to come out of the AFC.
I don't, and I'll
No?
tell you why. I just don't think their defense is worth a damn.
Okay.
Like, they have a hard time closing out games because they let teams back in on the
Who's gonna
defensive
beat them?
end. I think it's this weekend. I think it's Kansas City.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I
my
do.
pick. Yeah.
I mean, the Mahomes factor. Look, the Bills got what they wanted. They've been asking for a home game against Mahomes, for like 5 years. This is what they wanted. They finally got it. But you know what? What's the difference other than crowd noise? It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy.
Sure.
You know who's been really good and cold and windy in Kansas City?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes.
Let's see. Where did Kansas City play last weekend, and how cold was it?
Yeah, right. It was like minus 22 or something to that effect. A girl friend of mine, went from San Antonio to Kansas City to go to that game. I know.
It's crazy.
I
wouldn't go.
No way. F that.
Well, listen, I'll change that. If this was a Jets AFC Championship game,
Yeah,
and I had tickets, I think I would go.
Yeah,
I would go.
You'd be there.
Would you take your shirt off?
No,
Hell
I
no.
saw that dude.
Did you see the guy in Buffalo?
Yeah, that was in Buffalo. Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, there were shirts off at the Kansas City game, but the
Okay.
guy in Buffalo shoveling snow in the stands and then riding the
Yes.
snowshoe
Yes.
down.
Totally awesome.
Pretty funny.
Totally awesome.
But here's another observation from Wild Card Weekend. I had never seen this before, but now all of a sudden we have officials on the sidelines next to the coach. When did that start? And why isn't that during the regular season?
I don't think I noticed that, Walter. What do you mean?
That
I mean,
is-
there's
so you
usually
ha-
a sideline official that hangs out pretty close to the coaches.
Yes, but this guy does not have he had a black shirt, a black top on
Really?
instead of a referee outfit. But who was the official that got into trouble? Was it Brad Allen, something like that? He was there on the sideline. You had those sideline officials in every game. You had one official standing right next to the coach, so the communications were better between the officials on the field and the coach on the sideline.
Interesting.
I don't know why that doesn't happen during the regular season.
I got to look that up. I did
Yeah.
not notice
Yeah,
that.
go check that out.
And they had more what I call sky refs, and it looked like they were in much closer communication than they are during the regular season.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Not that it changed anything. You still had stupid, ridiculous calls in the NFL, but listen, that's going to happen. You're going to have bad calls in any sporting event. It happens no matter what, whether it was the Spurs game last night or NFL playoff games over the weekend.
Talking about bad officiating. You see Hurley in Arizona State?
Yeah, he went nuts, huh?
I did not. Did
So-
he lose his shit?
Yo, it was good. It was
Hurley has temper.
Yeah, it was a classic tirade.
He was like, I'm not going to talk about what I shouldn't talk about. We're just the bad guys, but I'm not going to talk about it.
But he keeps going.
I'm not gonna
he
talk
can't
about
stop
it.
himself.
Funny
Okay,
stuff.
as you look forward to this weekend, the Texans have an amazing chance against the Ravens to really make a statement about their organization. It would be an all-time amazing upset if a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback went to Baltimore, of all places, against Lamar Jackson, who's looked like the MVP, and I think he's going to win it. It would be an all-timer if they were able to do it. What kind of chance do you give them?
I don't think the Texans' defense is good enough. So I expect Baltimore to win this game. The one X factor is C.J. Stroud. Can he get enough points up there to keep this game competitive?
Isn't it amazing how well Stroud has kept the offense rolling with them losing as many weapons as they've
Yeah,
lost?
it's crazy.
It's just unreal. And another comparison to Jordan Love, it's kind of a no-name wide receiver core.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, listen, the one guy you do know is Dalton Schultz, the
Yeah,
former
sure.
tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. He's
Sure.
been the guy.
yeah, He's been great.
Fantastic.
I think defense and what happens with Lamar Jackson. I mean, the book on the Ravens and Jackson are they wilt a little bit in the postseason. So we'll see. I mean, I like Lamar Jackson. I think he is a much better quarterback now than I expected him to be at this point in his career. I expected him to fall.
I would agree.
As a running quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't expect running quarterbacks to transition to where he is in his career.
Yep.
He's become a really good quarterback. This is his chance
Agree.
to step up.
Yeah.
If DeMeco Ryan can scheme a good defense to shut him down and put him on his back foot, yeah, the Texans stand a chance.
I think they do too. I'm looking forward to the game.
I think the point spread is too much.
I agree. I think 9.5 is
We'll
large.
see.
Yeah. I mean, certainly Baltimore's good enough to be able to win in a blowout. They are, right? And their run game is different this year. Their pass weapons are better. We'll see about Mark Andrews. I don't know. What's his status? Do we know?
No idea.
Yeah.
I expect all 4 home teams to win.
Yeah. Really?
Yep.
Okay. So
I'd be surprised.
you're on the Bills.
Mhm.
What makes you feel that way?
I think the level that Josh Allen is playing at right now is maybe the best in the NFL.
But he's another part of why they never put teams away. He's good for like one what the fuck were you doing play every week.
Andrews, I mean, back to Andrews, full practice participant on Wednesday, still listed on the IR.
I'll call him and see.
Well, he'd be a big weapon for them to get back.
So,
If he's the whole offense. So if he ever got hurt in a game, they'd be screwed. But that guy can run. That guy can pass.
Oh.
He's terrific.
Yeah. What else do you look forward to on the weekend? Bucks Lions. I mean, it's kind of a squirrely matchup because I don't think the Bucks belong. But the Lions story is pretty cool, so I'm rooting for that. Niners. I think Niners pack could be really entertaining if Jordan Love winds up just dropping back and throwing 40 bombs, 45 passes. That could be really entertaining.
If they do to the 49ers early what they did to the Cowboys, which is take the ball in the first drive and go down and score,
We got a game.
I think we have a game. If the Niners get the ball first or score first, I don't think we do. I think the Niners get a little uncomfortable when they're forced to come from behind and Purdy gets uncomfortable.
Yeah, Purdy does. Yeah.
I think I would expect San Francisco to flex their muscle and show everybody they are the team to beat in the NFC.
You know, I am very, very happy that I made that bet mid-season on San Francisco to win the Super Bowl right now. Because the path got a lot easier with the Cowboys and Eagles taking craps.
Yep.
It really did.
I'm with you.
What else you got over there, Wally? I got some news and notes, and we're running out of time.
Well, let's get to the Spurs quickly because they played last night, obviously, and they obviously were lost in Boston. They were never in the game, and we've talked about over the last couple of weeks seeing some signs from this team that there's some improvement, but the fans have gotten completely out of control. I mean, they at this point the fans can't because they can't decide whether they should fire Pop or mail in their check for playoff tickets. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the Spurs lost 5 in a row. Pop's got to be fired. What the hell are they doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. The game passed them by. Then they win 2 straight. And whoa, Spurs are playing really well, Wally. You better watch it. They're better than you think. They beat 2 teams. The Pistons and the Hornets are currently 12-67 combined. And people are going out of their mind. And then they get absolutely hammered in the first half against Atlanta. Come back and get within 7 in the fans are like, boy, oh boy, we got something going on here. Stop it. It makes the Spurs fans make me nauseous. I think they're smarter than this, but sometimes, boy, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Listen, Sohan's a player.
Really?
Yeah, he's not the point guard anymore. Obviously, that experiment didn't work. But I've watched a lot of him. He's a player.
I am so far from being sold on Sohan. I am a long way away.
He may not be a player with the Spurs, but he's going to play in the NBA for years to come.
I don't see it, man. What do you love about him? What does he do exceptionally well that you like?
Listen, he's still a young player, so he makes big shots. He hits threes. He defends a little bit.
What is he shooting from behind the arc? Is it 27%? Like, not that he can't make one.
I didn't say he's an all-star. I just think he's going to be a player. He's going to be around. And listen, and you watched the game last night. If you watched the game last night, Wemby still is in too much of a hurry with everything he does. It's still too much of an. You know what? What's fantastic? This is really interesting. If you watch Wemby in a slow motion replay, he looks fantastic. But when you see it in real time, it's like everything's in a freaking hurry. And sometimes it's, he could either go to the basket and slam it right down your throat, or he could throw up an air ball.
He gets sped up too easily. I completely agree with
For
that.
no reason. He's 7 foot 1,000.
Yeah, you can literally hold the ball straight up and
Yes.
just nobody's going to get it, right?
Too much in a hurry.
Look, if he's still in a hurry in 3 years, then I'll be worried about it.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that's what he's at.
Yeah.
A lot of reports, obviously, with DeJounte Murray being available.
Ooh, can I get in on this?
So this is Atlanta reportedly wants 2 first-rounders for DeJounte. The Spurs obviously have draft picks to give up. I'm not sure if this makes sense. I think DeJounte's what the Spurs need is they need more 3-point shooting and they need better defense. Obviously, that's been a point of contention the entire season. Last night they were dreadful defending the 3, and DeJounte's turned into a pretty decent 3-point shooter.
Yes, he has.
I might do the deal for two first rounders if that's what we want. You gave up 3 first rounders in the trade yesterday for Pascal Siakam, so. Maybe it's 3. I'm not doing it for 3, but I would do it for 2.
I got to be honest. I want no part of DeJounte Murray back with the Spurs.
Okay.
None. I don't like DeJounte's game, and I kind of never have.
Okay.
He plays without speed, and I think I don't think that's good for a point guard. He plays without shiftiness off the dribble. I think that's bad for a point guard. I think he has bad court vision for a point guard, especially a point guard of his size.
I like Trey Jones. I don't have any problem with Trey Jones.
I think
Trey
you're thinking,
Jones has got.
Sorry. I thought you meant Trey Young.
No.
You mean Trey Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Trey Jones is okay. I could, I don't think that's the issue with this team. Listen, again, the issue for them, you go through the entire season. They can't hit threes, and their defense is just pathetic. So I think Trey Jones is okay at the point guard. I'm not giving up on him yet.
The team has looked better since he took it over.
Yeah.
You can certainly say that. That's 100%er.
And
I like
he's
Trey
more
Jones.
assists than DeJounte in his season so far.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the problem with DeJounte. I mean, if you're going to pair a point guard, Walter and Bob, with Victor Wembanyama, you want to find a guy who's really good at throwing lob passes.
Yeah.
That would be ideal, right? Like Chris Paul has always been great at throwing the lob.
Yeah, I don't know who's available that's out there because you need a prototypical point guard. You don't need one that scores. You need like Jason Kidd, with Jason Kidd at the end of his career when he was a pretty decent 3-point shooter.
Yes,
but he was more about distributing the basketball. That guy would be perfect for the Spurs.
He
but
would
he's
be
not
great.
available.
And look, there's probably not going to be. And I've looked at the free agent list. I don't think there's going to be a free agent point guard for the Spurs to land.
Yeah.
It's just going to have to be a guy that they find in the draft that grows up with Wemby. And hopefully that guy will know how to throw a freaking lob pass. Because, man, they miss Wemby on the alley-oop 4 times a game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Drives me a little bit nuts. Let me give you a news and note from my end.
All right, go ahead.
Kalen DeBear to Alabama. Good hire? I think it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. But I like him there. I think the Alabama fans are happy to have him. Like, it was a popular hire for them. I think that's going to work out. Would you pay Tua after watching him again this weekend? Really look like, unless he throws on time, he's not good. Okay, and that's the knock on Tua. Like,
what's the choice? What's the alternative?
Well, he's going to be expensive, right? And he's going to want his 50 or 60 million.
Well, that's what Dak's going to get too. What's your alternative there? I mean, you think about that. If you don't pay Dak, do you just blow it up and start all over again? And if you're Jerry Jones, who's 100 years old, for crying out loud, I mean, you can't.
There's a guy in Chicago, a quarterback in Chicago, that if I'm Miami, if I'm Pittsburgh, if I'm one of these teams that really doesn't know their future quarterback, I'm going right after Justin Fields because I think he's a lot better than people let on.
I think Chicago should keep him and build around him.
Yeah,
They're
So
stupid if they go in the opposite direction.
So you're seeing what I'm seeing from Fields.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's shown you some signs that he's got it. I would stick with it if I was them.
And if I was Miami, I would find a way to make it work financially with Tua. and stick with Tua. I'm not going to evaluate Tua based on a game played in Arctic conditions.
I don't know, man. You're always going to have to do that in the playoffs once in a while, Just happens. My last news and note, and then I'll get back to you, Wally. Rodney Terry, head coach of the University of Texas, they took a dump last night, lost to UCF. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the UCF players were giving the horns down signal.
Okay.
And after the game, Rodney Terry went off on it, calling it classless.
Really?
Get over it, Rodney Terry.
That's what everybody does.
I mean, it's not a big deal. They didn't, insult your mother. They just turned your hand signal upside down. Give me a break.
Yeah, how about getting rid of your fight song up there that's full of racism?
Yeah, right.
Let's concentrate on that instead of the horns down. Come on.
What else you got, Wally?
All right, I got plenty of stuff here. Let's go through them real quick. The Bulls fans booing when Jerry Krause was introduced this week posthumously during the Ring of Honor ceremony. People suck everywhere, no matter where you go.
Booed his wife to make it worse.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
it's classless.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Classless.
Astros winter caravan's coming to San Antonio. The Rangers caravan is not. Round Rock is their closest. That's just stupid. What are the Texas Rangers doing? Bring your championship trophy to San Antonio. They chose not to.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Couple other ones here. Did you ever see the movie Grown Ups?
I don't think
Adam
so.
Sandler?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, actually.
All right, so there's a scene in the movie where the ladies are around the pool and they spot this surfer-looking dude coming out of the pool, all built up and all that stuff. They thought he was hot until he opens his mouth, and it turns out he has the very heavy Canadian accent.
Yeah.
Saskatoon. He died this week. He pulled a shotgun on himself and committed suicide.
No
He was
way.
46.
Well, speaking of
How about
46-year-olds
that?
that passed away this week, Golden State Warriors assistant coach, I mean, a heart attack at a team dinner? I mean, that's just
How does that? My question is, how does that happen to a guy that's obviously in athletics? You would think that the coach had gone through an extensive physical exam. You can't find that he's got blocked arteries.
Yeah.
How is that not? I mean, hell.
you got the best doctors in the world pretty much at
You
your
have the best
disposal.
doctors, but I mean, if you're a prototypical guy, I mean, is it truly a thing that he would have gone through physicals? Or,
I don't know.
or
I would think so.
Or why?
I don't know.
Because they don't mess around with that stuff. You got so much money invested in these people. You get a thorough exam. I mean, hell, I know my heart is clogged. I mean, he's got to know his. And at 46, they don't care. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was mind-boggling to me to hear that.
So one of my observations. Have you guys seen like the jacuzzi bath remodel ads on TV?
No.
So with the lady from the Flipper House thing that got divorced, and anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they do their before and after pictures, right? But in the small print on the bottom, and they actually have before and after over these shower stalls on the bottom. These are not actual before and after depictions. Like, what the fuck?
So stupid. The other notable actor that died this week, he was 71, was Crazy Joe Davola from Seinfeld.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Peter Crombie.
He was a great character on that show.
Certainly was. He certainly was. All right, couple of let me jump through these quick. Better Call Saul. Did you ever see that show?
Never did.
All right, terrific show. I thought received 53 Emmy nominations during its run. It never won one of them.
Wow,
That's
bummer.
crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Quick one. 2/3 of Iowans believe that Joe Biden did not win the election. That's pretty freaking scary.
Oh my God.
Do you know what Iowa stands for?
What?
Idiots out walking around.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. I can absolutely see that. My question today would be: when were the not the NISD, but when were the SAISD schools built? 1930s. What is going on here?
They don't have heat. They don't have heat.
70% of the schools don't have and their boilers were down. When the hell boilers? Who has a boiler in their building? Are you freaking kidding me? Holy crap!
Boiler. I don't even know her.
All right, I got three more quick ones. The border issue to me is being treated like it's a baseball card. Hey, if you give us border improvements, we'll give you an Altuve rookie card. What the hell's going on with Congress? Just a craziness.
Yeah.
To me, the primary season for the Republicans is over.
Yeah. I think
It's over.
Yeah.
But I'm
Over
here
before it began.
But I heard something today that the latest polls have Nikki Haley tied with Donald Trump in New Hampshire, which is their primaries on Tuesday. I can't believe that.
I can. The way New Hampshire structures their primaries, independents can vote. If independents come out and vote, Nikki Haley stands a punter's chance.
Well, if that happens, then we might have something, but I'm not expecting that to happen.
Well,
to me, the primary season's over.
Nothing happens in the Republicans until the criminal trials come to their conclusions.
Yeah.
We shall see. And finally, the DOJ report today on the Robb Elementary shooting comes out. What are you expecting?
I don't have expectations. Do you?
People are, and you hear people talking about it on the television news. Well, I hope there's some, hope we get some accountability. You've had half a dozen or so people get fired, in this situation. I'm not sure and I saw the report that came out from the Texas Tribune. I think we talked about it on the podcast maybe about a month and a half ago. I don't think you're going to see anything different that you didn't already know. Yeah. If you're paying attention. If you're not paying attention, then you might be just absolutely startled out of your mind. But I'm not expecting any jarring thing to come out of this. I don't know. I mean, who else is going to get fired down there that should have been fired?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'd be fascinating to see what, if anything, comes out of it.
God, I don't want to end the show on such a downer. Tough shit. We'll see you next week.
49ers!
What?
Are going to win.
Go Jets! I got nothing.
Like and subscribe. See you next week on The Unrestricted.
Peace.
Bye.
How y'all feel out there? Do you feel good? I said, do you feel good? Come on. The groove feel good when it make you move. Make your next move your best move. I said,